So now that you've experienced the arm circle on the floor, why don't you talk with us a little bit about the sensation of how it felt on the right side versus the left side, if you felt any differences, and how you use this in your practice.
I noticed a difference between the two sides in what I needed to pay attention to. So on the right side, it was really about the rotation of the arm and following the line through the space around me. But when I did it on the left side, I felt just a little bit more resistance in the eye tracking, a little bit more resistance in my spine as I was trying to make that movement. So I had to concentrate more on the rotation of the head and a little bit less on where my arm was going. I think in the end I went to a similar place, so even if the range of motion isn't very different, there may be a difference in sensation. I use this in my everyday practice to, warm up my upper body. If I were going to pitch in a baseball game, you would warm up before you pitch. So making sure that I do have a full range of motion before I start conducting is important, and whether you're doing arm circles on the floor or whether you're doing them in a standing position, it can be helpful to just loosen that area up and practice some of the places that your arms can go.
So one of the things that I noticed in Mandy's comments is that when she addressed going to the left side, she talked about an awareness in her spine. She didn't need to address that on the right side. So it might be interesting for you to notice when you're working with your arm. So if I'm bringing this across, if I'm even just doing this in the air, and I bring a rotation around, now I'm doing this on a ball. For some of you that might not like to do floor work, tracing, notice that my eyes are following my hand. Now I'm going to come back this time and I'm just going to do a rotation of my arm, but I'm not going to have my eyes track. Now what happens here? I'm stuck. Even though I'm coming into a rotation across, I could still do this. But the minute I take it, then maybe you can be the observer and tell me what you see is different when I actually track.
The most obvious thing that I noticed was a really strong bit of tension in your neck when you weren't rotating it. So as your arm was approaching, it was like there was pinching and collapsing here.
And now if you look, you'll see that there's a difference in balance in my shoulders with doing it on one side and not the other. So let's do the same. Our bodies are really built to be in tandem. So I'll follow it this time. And notice now that my shoulders are balanced. This is something you can do with your choirs. This is something you can do with your softball or your baseball team, your basketball team. You could be your soccer coach's best friend.